The energy I'm feeling is very hyperactive, and I don't mean in, like a neurodivergent way. I mean in a hypervigilant, hyper-aroused way. It is a very intense energy, and it's very alert. It has a tone to it. It's like a really high-pitched tone in the background, and it's just very, very high-pitched. I keep hearing that damn Bangladesh song in my head too, which, yeah, it's very catchy and all, but it won't stop, and it just keeps repeating that line, you never take me to Bangladesh. But so there's a sense of, it's like a petulance. It's somebody being ungrateful, being intrusive, because the train is going by right now, although I'm in the bedroom and I'm really shielded off from the sound porn here. There's a sense of chaos around this energy. It's very chaotic, and then this person is on very high alert. This may be you. This may be an energy you need to be aware of, collective, within yourself. Because this card came out, Six of Arrows, Six of Swords, while I was shuffling, which indicates a really powerful need to move on to clearer waters. We've got, it's how interesting is it that we have this like this dark scene back there that's all kind of clouds and spooky, that's breaking way to this bright sunset here, but we're still going in the wrong direction. And this is called transition. So I suppose, where you transition to depends on you. If it does end up being more of a peaceful place, now the swan boat is empty. There's no swords on the swan boat. The swords are on the sail of the swan boat. So, whether you put those away and move on to somewhere safer, somewhere more calm, is within your hands. It is that desire that will propel you in that direction. This is like, I know this energy. I know it. It's a survival place. It's very, very high. It's very, very high alert. This person, it's like I said, it's like a petulant energy, but it's also just such a demanding energy, but outrageously demanding. Like the things that are demanded, it's off the wall. It's nonsensical. It's not logical. I think this person may have a very different way of seeing reality, and I say that kindly, without any diagnosis. So I want to look into this a little bit more, because we have that. Let me do this, actually. Hi, I'm Reverend Meggus. How are you? I am a shadow work coach, priest of Hades. I'm a divine channel. I read fossils. And I have been doing this for a long time. Too long. Oh, look at that, right in the middle. Knight of Bows, right in the middle. Knight of Bows is a fox, and this is Knight of Wands in this deck. Bows is wands. But it's this fox. He's got the squinty eyes, so he's not looking at things clearly. We've got also this kind of clear sky behind him, right? I've seen this in this card before, this sort of nice meadow with these big, beautiful puffy clouds, and it looks all clear, and he's still in the thickets. And I feel a sense of deception being necessary to collective feeling that deception or hiding or otherwise not being honest, some sort of trickery necessary for this transition, for moving on somewhere safer. Ace of Arrows, moving away from Ace of Cups, moving towards, in the overt, King of Cups, in the covert, Four of Cups. I'm going to use these guys to clarify a little bit. 2. Ace of Arrows. There was a goal, there was a target, that, you know, there was an aim, where'd you come from? 9 of Stones. This is really interesting how that fell out just as I'm talking about that. 9 of Stones. Really interesting contrast to what I was just talking about, huh? 9 of Stones is a very, you know, secure and sort of stable place. But it's also very solitary, and in most decks she's walled off. So there's a bit of safety, the safety of being shielded, or, you know. What do they call it? Why can't I think of it? How interesting. I can't think of it. You know, like when your parents kind of give you everything and keep you shielded off from the world. That's what I'm feeling. And I mean, I see that Ace of Arrows looking at it. Can we clarify these cards? Moving left and up and down. Honesty. Growth. Teach. Somebody loves to teach. Learning lessons about empathy in the present moment. I feel really like that one. Experience. Ooh. So I think what's happened here is that we had a very in the covert here, in the unknown. So this is where I think there's some level of being dishonest, and I think it might be with oneself. We've got 3 cards here. We've got fail, we've got the 4 of Cups, and we've got experience on the other side. That is a hell of a tableau. And she is just dissatisfied. Now, I feel like the struggle right now here in the center is growth, and about how honest you can be with yourself in this moment, and how and where you're going to move on from here. Are you going to move towards the clearness or back into the storms? And moving away from, so in the recent past, that Ace of Arrows, honesty on top of that with that 9 of Pentacles. You know, I feel like maybe this has been a lesson in being honest, in telling our truth and speaking our truth, in being bold and being brave and being vulnerable, because there is this sense of being shielded. And you know, it's not like I'm speaking to rich people here, so it's not like, you know, there's that sense of being sheltered. That's the word, sheltered. And sometimes we do that to ourselves with, you know, dealing with things like social anxiety, or, you know, other things that we have that make it harder to connect with people. So we become more sheltered, and sometimes we adapt in not so great ways to get through that. And I think collective, one of yours was being honest, and fully honest. You know, there's a sense of, you know, when we tell the whole truth, you know, or we tell enough of the truth, but if you are withholding information from someone, that does not allow them to make a fully informed decision, then that's manipulation. And that's something something you need to remember. And this caused a big failure. This caused a big loss. It's not like you don't still have things around you, but I think what was lost or what left, there's a lot of cups here, so this was something that you cared about deeply. Now, again, in my readings, I really try not to assign meanings to relationships because this can apply in a lot of different ways to a lot of different people. This can be business partnerships, this can be jobs, this can be, many different things, but it's, it's close to our heart. It's very close to our heart, and it's been a tumultuous ride. And what I'm seeing here with the failure underneath, that's the covert, that's the hidden, that's the unknown. And so we may be having a really hard time seeing that we are not in a great place, not feeling great, because we really just didn't look at all perspectives and all sides, and failed to really look at the truth of situations and have some empathy for people. I think honesty for you might be something you struggle with more internally versus, I think there are instances where we have that situation where you're not giving all the information, but I also think internally you struggle with honesty in the sense of, I don't feel like you are fully honest with yourself or even understand how to be honest with yourself sometimes, because I think you get very confused about what it is you truly feel and think, and that is, there is this shelteredness, this need to protect, this need to have safety, which, for people pleasing, that means that we can sometimes chameleon. But there's something that you cared greatly about, and there is a loss, a failure. If this hasn't happened already, it is very close. This Knight of Bows with growth on top of it. Yeah, it's funny because now as I look at him, I see this thicket and this big mess of branches and growth with this clear, beautiful field behind him, and he's sort of squinting back into the forest and looking away from it. So, I just heard he's got his beer goggles on, but that's a message for somebody, but just for somebody in general, collective. When you're squinting, you can kind of, if you squint, you can think somebody looks like Nicolas Cage or something like that. That's what I'm seeing. It's like if you squint, if you look at it in just the right way, then you can kind of sort of make it look like what you want it to be. And so in that, there's a lack of honesty about what the truth is of your situation. It's like you're lying to yourself about it being okay and acceptable when it really isn't. And there's a fear there based on this shelteredness and this feeling safe. There's a sense of loss here that's coming, though, and how do we transition from that to teach? Because we've got moving towards Ace of Cups and teaching. I think this is like the goal. I think this is what, honestly, and if you were aware of that, I think you enjoy teaching. I think that's something that you want to be able to do. I think it's been a struggle. Why do we throw those on the floor? Ugh. I saw them upside down, so what do we have? Page of Arrows, King of Stones, King of Wands. think you're lying to yourself about having the creative ability and the stability to be a leader and a teacher, to be able to do that. I think you're lying to yourself about the fact that you actually are really good at it. And I think that has to do with a lot of circumstances that are happening, because I see this as part of the situation, but I see it as being more complex than that. Now that we've got the Nine of Stones out there, might as well look at that. Can we get a little bit more clarity on this? Failed experience with boredom. Four of Cups there, Four of Vessels. What's this? Judgment, Queen of Wands, Flower of Wands, Three of Cups. There's partnership involved here. Somebody else who is creative and also sparks something within you that is inspirational. And the Seven of Stones just fell on the floor. So you Flower of Wands, Three of Cups, Judgment here, and this Seven of Stones inverted. If there was something here that, oh my gosh, just saw it, Devil on the bottom of the deck. If there was something there, there was no, this is upside down, that Seven of Stones. There was no thought really about it. There wasn't any energy or there wasn't any amount of anything feeding it. I think you came to this decision too late about this partnership being really good all around and didn't put in the time and energy. And this is a lesson. Growth was on top of this pile here with the Six of Swords and this Knight of Wands. Now, which way are we going to go here? You know, are we going to go back into this darkness garbage? Are we going to go into where the weather looks clear? Are we going in another direction entirely? Are we doing nothing? How are we going to grow? Which direction is going to allow us to grow? Which direction will allow you to grow? Because that's what's needed here. This is a point of growth, and astrologically the things that have come about are, you know, the universe digging down into your guts and pulling the things that you've really stuffed down there and said, I'm never looking at again, and saying, look, holding it right in your face and saying, look at them guts. And it's not pleasant, and I think this is one of those things. Because change does need to happen, and growth is not going to happen if you stay in the same situation. You know, you can't do the same thing and expecting different results. You know, you can keep trying and adjusting, but you can only do that so many times. You lack the confidence to move forward even though you have the ability. So please know that you have the ability, and the issue, I felt that energy. You are worn thin right now. All right, you are in this very tense situation. Intention, lessons. You are in this very intense situation. This is high energy. You're on alert. This reminds me of when I was managing the damn network operations center, and I was on call, and alarm would go, my alert would go off on my phone about something being down, and I'd just jump right up out of bed. And it's that kind of like emergency response thing, nervous system wise, that I'm feeling in you. And there's a need to recognize the intensity of that, because that's not normal. I know that's not normal, and it's intense because your body is responding to what it feels is threat. Now it's up to you to really look at the truth of this situation, and be honest with yourself about it, because you have been kind of telling yourself, well, it's fine, it's all right, it'll be okay for now, or I can make it work, I think, for a while. And I think you're also worried about failure, this notion of failure. And I wish I could shake every person in this world sometimes and just be like, this is not how it should be. This is meant to keep us down. This notion of failure, and then we get punished, is such garbage. No, failure shows us where we need to improve and what we need to change. And I'm sick and tired of this. Especially in business. Maybe this is something to do with business too, or money. But yeah, because I'm kind of tired of that, where it's like, oh, well, we didn't make as much profit, or, took a little loss, so that's it, you're done. And it's like, but you could have learned so much in this campaign, that reams of data. And what do you value? What do you value? Be honest with yourself. Open your eyes. Stop squinting to make everything look okay. Sit with yourself. Take some time by yourself, at least. If you can, you can. You have to make it for yourself. And really think about moving forward with intention, and taking the lessons that you've learned and moving forward with them, and believing in yourself in terms of what it is that you want to do in this teaching and helping others grow in a particular way. Sharing your wealth, sharing what you have with others, showing other people how it's done. And that could be in a lot of different things, in a lot of different industries. So, again, collective reading, but something about it really lights you up. This situation is dampening you. It's darkening your mood. It is darkening your light that shines when you're engaged in this thing that you love. And I think you need to clear out the environment. And so if that's removing yourself from the environment and going somewhere else, which I think it might be, we're on that 6 of Swords boat, right? 2404. You got a lot of choices. You got a lot of options. And I think you are a bit confused about it. You want to follow your heart. And I really think I think you need to spend some time on your own, getting to know yourself, be the big moose in the forest, chill out in a patch of moss, under a rainbow, for heaven's sakes, for a while, but by yourself, to really clear your mind of all of this stuff and other people's ideas. You may not have clarity as far as how to get there and have that honed in perfect focus moving forward right at the beginning. It will take time, but I don't think it's going to destabilize you to where that's not possible. But I think remaining in the situation you are that is draining the crap out of you and really causing you to feel so on edge and in this vigilant, the hyper vigilant place. You need to come out of that. Take a flight to the Bahamas. Something. Make the Bahamas in your backyard with an adult kiddie pool and just wait until it gets humid. Something. Chicago. The lessons here are about following your heart. The lessons here are about listening to yourself, not squinting and making things look okay because you're afraid of moving on or leaving or, doing the wrong thing and getting yourself into something dangerous. You may have had some overprotective people around you in your life with that sheltered energy too. And or you may just be in a place where you just haven't learned to trust yourself fully yet, but you're trying. And that starts with like opening your eyes and looking at the reality of the situation, not blaming yourself or being mad at yourself or trying to punish yourself or handle yourself in any way that, that never worked when other awful people did it, Handling yourself with compassion and grace and empathy. And I'll tell you something, sometimes it feels wrong because there are people in the world who will raise their children to just beat the crap out of themselves internally. And it is a hard thing to unravel. I'm reminded of a conversation I was having earlier with a friend of mine. Was that with a friend of mine? No, it was in therapy. Anyway, we were talking about healing past parts of ourselves. And I have been working with that. And they mentioned that a lot of people struggle with sort of, accepting the healing of that and that part of themselves that was unhealed. And accepting that is the truth about themselves. And I said, I view that part of myself as static and learning and growing and healing just like every other part of me. And I do engage in a lot of Jungian active imagination around healing past versions of myself, interacting with those past versions of myself and uncovering things that, there may not be language for. And there's a lot of that, unfortunately. But it connects me to those parts of myself. And it's not, this ugly part of myself that I always have to kind of suppress and control and manage, but it is healing that part of myself. Watching that part of myself also learn and grow and transform. Not being ashamed of it, not saying, I can't believe I ever was this way, but allowing that healing to happen with that past self. This is how we time travel and heal ourselves in the past and in the future, But there is something about that, about who you were and who you are and who you want to be. And the healing that's happening now, the integrating of these important lessons that are important for you to heal this situation and make that break and move on. And it is some, I don't think it is maybe even one particular relationship or one particular situation. I think this is a common pattern or theme in your life. This is sort of that I'm needing to break free from the things that have been holding me down, the attitudes and ideas and beliefs that I have been passed on by other people that are preventing me from seeing the truth. Because I'm afraid that if I open my eyes and really look at the truth and see it for what it is, then I'm going to lose people, is what my brain said. The truth is what will set you free and move you to your heart's desires. The truth inside you with yourself. Your truth is what you need to come to terms with. Good or bad, ugly or glittery sparkles, does not matter. You can still heal it. And that's what you're doing. I know it's a very uncomfortable process, and I know a lot of people are also in this situation. But it's important because we're in this transition, we're in this place of awakening, we're in this place of greater awareness as a human collective. And so these things that Spirit is grabbing down in our guts and holding up in our face are things that we need to release and move on and integrate and learn the lessons from and get out of our way so that we can do that. And a lot of people being faced with this, and everybody's cranky. This is not comfortable for you, but it is not impossible, and it is not just pain. This is more of a challenge. And it's about learning your lessons and navigating this and coming out the other side to create what you want. And I don't know why I'm being asked to frame it as a challenge, but it kind of is. And it's a challenge to find yourself and do what's right for you. Somebody's told you to do that. And this time, be willing to put in the effort when the choices present themselves. And that is your reading. Message from Spirit. This petulant energy don't let it burn the house down before you even get a chance to live in it. Take care of you. If you'd like a personal reading, go to the link tree, which is either in the description or my bio, depending on where you're seeing this. It's Linktree River Meggus. There it is. Have a wonderful evening and weekend. Love you. Bye.